So it is up to you, sir, doctor.
Okay, thank you. So, screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Ah, so after a lunch, we have, you can say, uh, presentation starting with kitchen only. है ना? And you will find this scenario common in everyone's home, that in the morning, number of burners, if you have two, both are occupied, four are occupied. Okay, so since I am now switching over to number of responses more than one, that is multi-response optimization, I thought this photograph or picture, since it is common to all, let me start with that and just highlight the complexity. So basically, if you see these four burners, four process going on, then now let us check one by one. If you focus on this, then it is a tea making process. Now, depending upon the temperature, or you can say the heat you are providing, you will have fast or slow heating, so that the time required to achieve your desired you can say process complete will be different. Then the moment you have different you can say components, the moment you add them, you will have taste. Now किसी को taste कुछ अलग चाहिए. Someone requires you can say less amount of water, someone requires less amount of sugar. So the process is one, but you have a different requirement. Someone if it is diabetic one, then pehle bhai bina sugar ke chai nikalo, then you add sugar. So this is one process. If you look at this chapati, again someone requires थोड़ी कड़क चाहिए, someone says that I need a thin one, रोटी जैसी पतली होनी चाहिए. Again we have one process, requirements are different. दूध में भी ऐसा है भाई. Someone says that भाई एक बार उबाल आ गया, it's okay. Someone goes on, I mean dissolving that malai and goes on heating until and unless it becomes like rabdi. So fat अंदर ही रहता है. So again, requirement is different. And this one is our pressure cooker having either rice in it, dal in it, or some sabjis kept in that for boiling purpose. Someone requires 5 cities, है ना, 5 city के बाद बोल देना. Someone requires that heating should be slow. So what I wanted to highlight over here, we have four processes. And each process has its own characteristic. The requirement is also different. See, so if I say it is too complex, I think I'm quite sure, yeah, because every day, I mean, the each process requires special treatment. As it is written, it has own its characteristics. It is multi-response. So we have four processes going on at the same time. All processes are having multiple responses, and majority of the time you will find that you do not complain. Whatever is being cooked or being served to you, you are quite satisfied. So no statistical treatment, then also you are getting a quality product thanks to grill Lakshmi of our home. Okay, but we are not that much, you can say, experience, or we are not that much having love towards what we are doing. Or since we would like to publish somewhere with some, you can say, requirement of promotion and wide publicity, so and so forth. So we require statistical treatment. So let us see how Taguchi can help in this endeavor. So whenever you find that this process is too complex for optimization for in your study, just look at this picture and just imagine how many processes are there, how many responses are there, and still the outcome you will meet with a success. Okay, so welcome to the second session, process parameters optimization using the Taguchi method. So let me start with one, you can say my favorite dialogue from the movie called Life is Beautiful. And it is quite, you can say, useful in our day-to-day life also, that nothing is more necessary than unnecessary. So we should be, you can say, cautious enough, aware enough, what are the required one and what are the not required one in our even study also. Okay, that is where the screening experiment is also important. So we know Taguchi method. We know about the, you can say, characteristic, or you can say special feature of the Taguchi, that it is always talking about variation, which is more interesting rather than the study of average value. Now let me come to the limitation. It is not applicable to multi-response optimization. That is first. And second limitation, as you are aware, that it is very highly fractional design. What I mean to say that if I have 8 factor and 3 level, as per Taguchi design, I need to perform only L18 against full factorial design, which is giving around 6,500 experiment. And if I take the second case, 27 experiment against around 16 lakh experiment. So the second limitation we cannot overcome. These we have to use our judgment, our you can say expertise, our experience to avoid such mistake. Don't, you can say, get trapped in that you can say lucrative reduction in number of experiment. Be, you can say, judicious, be wise while selecting the design. But for limitation number one, we have, you can say, uh, one attachment or bit modification in the method, and we can find quite reasonably good optimum condition. Okay, but before that, let us go through few examples where we need multi optimization or multi response optimization. If we talk about heat transfer, or you can say mechanical engineering point of view, then if you are preparing any you can say pipe, and if you provide heat treatment to that, then not only the hardness but the roughness is also important. Okay, similarly if you are preparing any alloy, okay, so we prepare alloy to have multiple, you can say, objective, like it should be light in weight, it should have enough you can say mechanical strength, it should be corrosion resistant. That is the reason why we exhaustively use stainless steel, not iron, though it has good strength, but the issue is weight, corrosion resistance is poor, so we go for stainless steel. Even in stainless steel also we have various category. Similarly, then insulating material, if I would like to insulate something, then purpose is this, to provide resistance to heat or electrical things. But at the same time, the thickness of that material when I'm wrapping around that pipe or a wire or a cable, then the thickness should be fairly less. If the material is too thick in nature, the insulating material too thick in nature, then also there is a problem. Weight will be there. Then you need to provide additional support. Okay, and you are consuming lots of material, then the cost of material will be more. So these are the things you need to take care. Similarly, if it's a reaction, yes, I should have higher yield of the product, but at the same time, apart from the product, what about other product that are being formed? So what about my raw material? Is it being consumed for my desired product, or is it being consumed for undesired product also? So my two responses. Similarly, if I'm extracting something, okay, say I'm extracting oil from claw bud, then I must have higher amount of oil from the bud. But at the same time, is it possible to reuse the solvent that I am using in extraction? Or whatever oil I have extracted, what is its applicability? If I'm using for some bacterial treatment, then is it giving its due performance? Yes. So these are the, you can say, various examples where more than one response can be considered and can be used so that with one optimum value I can get reasonably good outcome. Okay, so let me try Taguchi method with single response and what happens if I use single response. Okay, so this is the example where microwave assisted extraction, this is microwave unit, is used for extracting oil from clovers. Okay, so over here we were able to identify four factors. These are solid loading, amount of water, power of microwave and extraction time. Here with the range 10 to 50 gram or 40 to 400 ml, so and so forth, we were able to identify these two, and we have decided that we'll go for the optimization of these responses. Now, along with that, one thing that we know about the size, that if I'm able to reduce the size of the feed, then its active surface area will get increased. The moment it is higher, rapid mass transfer will be there. But over here, we have kept it constant. The reason is we have performed one study with the help of conventional extraction, and where we found that the size of around 1000 micron is good enough. So we have used that information over here. Even we have performed parametric study also. So with the help of this, we found these four factors. Now, along with this four factor, the responses that we have identified were yield of oil that is being extracted from this. Now, this oil is composed of more than 30 or 40 constituents. From that, eugenol is the, you can say, major component, or the amount of eugenol in the oil decides the quality of the oil. So higher the amount of eugenol, better will be the quality of the oil. So not only I need higher yield of oil, I need higher amount of eugenol also. Finally, uh, since this oil is used again bacterial, you can say, activity, zone of inhibition was also measured against one bacteria, Bacillus ceteris, and found, we checked that in which case I am getting good zone of inhibition, because that is what ultimate goal of oil is. It should be, you can say, used effectively. So I was able to identify these three responses. Okay. Now, if just I give you the idea about the working of this system, what we did is we have added clovers and water in this flask and heated with the help of microwave. Now, because of this microwave action, the rapid heating takes place, and the microwave acts on the cell vigorously because of the vaporization of water. Then various studies have proven that the cell walls get ruptured because of rapid vaporization of water, since we have used water. The moment the walls are getting ruptured, the constituents that are there in the cell will come out. The volatile will go up. Non-volatile, or which are dissolved in water, will remain in the system. Oil is volatile, not soluble with water. So what will happen, along with water vapors, it will rise through this lane and will reach the condenser. Upon condensing, it will be collected over here. The moment I am collecting that, oil and water will get separated. After design a definite period of time, up from 5 to 50. This solution is collected and separated, then weighed for the particular amount of oil, and from that weight a yield of oil is found. It is nothing but amount of oil divided by amount of solid loading. Then oil is analyzed using GC to measure the amount of eugenol, and the same oil is tested against this bacteria. So this is what we have done. Now let us see. I have four factors. I have decided the range like 10, 50, 40, 400. Now what I can do, 10, 50 can be two value, and mid 30 I can select for analysis. Similarly 40, 400 mid value I can select. So either I can go for three levels or go for, if it is four factors, go for sorry, either I can go for three levels or four factors. If three levels are there, I will end up with 9 experiment L9, four factors, 16 experiments. Okay, so over here also, depending upon you can say your expertise, your requirement, and consent with your supervisor or boss, you can select either 9 or 16. Why we have selected L16? The microwave operation is very sensitive in nature, very rapid. So little difference in one value may affect at a greater extent. So we decided let us go for higher levels. So that's why it was L16 array. One more thing, all these value 10, 15, 40, 400, these are generally, I mean, basically used for parametric study, and then they were refined further for optimization purpose also. So L16 array, these I have shown, level 1, level 2, 3 and 4 for factor A. Then for factor B, 1, 2, 3, 4, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, D, 1, 2, 3. Now, if you look at this previous example, we have shown L9 array, now L16 array. Why these two and one more L8 array? These three arrays, L8, 16 and 9, are quite popular in optimization. Okay, these three arrays are quite popular. Now, I will show the advantage and why some jumbling in your, you can say, interchanging of values is that if you look at this factor B, that is water volume, 200, 300, 400 and 500. No, it is not like that. It is not following any order. It is 200, then 400, then 300 and 500. Similarly, if you see factor C, it is not increasing, it is decreasing order, 850, 6, 450, 300. While again D, increasing order. So the Taguchi method says that since it is robust in nature, irrespective of the order, it will give you suitable outcome. And out of the full factorial design, you will be able to find this match. So it is not necessary for you to follow any order. This order is decided based on feasibility of the experiment. So when you prepare any array, you need to check, you need to you can say observe whether there is any issue is there or not, because what will happen if you go, if you start the experiment, and after performing 5 or 6 experiment, if you know that now this particular situation is not possible, then okay, so this is very critical. Okay, this is very critical, so you have to be very careful uh, for this situation. The reason is, if you go to the experiment number 15, where my solid loading is 40, the amount of water is 300, power is 600, and water volume is, sorry, extraction time is 30 minutes. So if I do not follow the regular, you can say, phenomena, there were chances that I may end up with cherry. Okay, why this was known to me? I have performed the experiment initially also. So because of loss of water, it may happen that only material is left in the system, and since dry material is there, overheating may take place, tearing may take place, sorry. So when I plan this experiment, I need to take care of this. Okay, that if I perform all the experiment, is there any issue during the experiment? Sometimes it happens that my say power is very high, time is very high, volume is also very high, then overheating may lead to bumping. That means overheating happens, then whatever material is there inside the material will come out and enter the whole condenser system. That means my run will get failed. Okay, so all these things you should know before performing the experiment. So this is what the table is. We have prepared the table. Now accordingly we will perform the experiment. So now instead of value of level, I have kept the physical values. So 10 gram, 200 ml, 850 watt and 15 minutes. For this combination, when experiment was performed, yield of oil was measured, yield of eugenol was measured, and zone of inhibition was measured. One more thing. Uh, what you can say, the range I have shown initially and what parameters or levels I have selected, they are different. In case of volume, it was 40 to 400 ml. Over here, it is 200, 400, 300, and 500. That means 200 to 500. Again, that is based on my initial study. Okay, so I have not applied the Taguchi method directly. The step between this factor detail and the L16 array is preliminary study that I have not shown over here. Okay, so this is how I have performed the experiment. 10, 200, 850 watt and 15 minutes, I have reported the value. Similarly for other experiments also. And you know that each experiment that you can see, each experiment was performed twice. Now, in all the cases, whether it is essential oil or eugenol or zone of inhibition, it is desired that I will have higher yield or maximum recovery of oil, maximum amount of eugenol, and higher zone of inhibition. That means in all the cases, higher the better case was selected. Higher the better, that means minus 10 log 1 by n summation 1 by y square. That equation was selected to calculate these values. Okay. Once signal to noise ratio was, you can say, calculated, the next step was to find response total or level total signal to noise ratio. So this is essential oil, eugenol, zone of inhibition. Values are for amount of plant material or solid loading, then water volume, then power and extraction time. So for each response, level total signal to noise ratio was found, and it is quite evident from this slide that each is having different optimum condition. The encircled one in blue color is the highest signal to noise ratio for essential oil, 81.56, 82.14, 82.79, 83.74. Similarly, the rectangle bracket box in red color or somewhat orange for eugenol, green one for zone of inhibition. So if you simply look at the factor A only, then essential oil level 1, eugenol level 2, zone of inhibition level 3. All are having different outcome. That means अगर मुझे yield ज्यादा चाहिए essential oil का 10 ग्राम flowed. If it is eugenol 20 gram flowed. If it is zone of inhibition 30 gram. तो अब क्या करें भाई, है ना? So each one is giving you different. आपको ऑयल भी बेचना है और उसका परफॉर्मेंस भी ज्यादा चाहिए. आपको क्या बोले 10 ग्राम के अगेंस्ट 850 वॉट पावर कंज्यूम करना पड़ रहा है, यहाँ पे 450 वॉट 30 ग्राम के लिए कंज्यूम करना पड़ रहा है ना? सो यू नीड वन कॉमन आउटकम विच विल यू कैन से सेटिस्फाई all the requirement. Okay, so what is the solution? Taguchi method says that it is applicable for single response, but if you apply or combine this Taguchi method with other technique, then you can have, you can say, some reasonable outcome. So the methods that are listed over here are engineering judgment, assignment of weights, Deer approach, Green relational method, factorial analysis, genetic algorithm, and fuzzy logic. Our focus will be on Gray relational analysis. The reason is it has, you can say, given quite good acceptance in the research community. Apart from this Gray relational, I have seen fuzzy logic and genetic algorithm also, but I have not expertise in these two. What I know somewhat is about Gray relational analysis. So in Gray relational analysis, basic idea is nothing but to combine all the signal to noise ratio into single value. So transform the signal to noise ratio of various responses into single value by following the Gray relational analysis. Once you do that, then follow the procedure of Taguchi method. If you recall, even the signal to noise ratio भी हमने क्या किया था? Two values were there, two repetitions were there. We have combined these two repetitions into one value, that was signal to noise ratio. Now we have more than one signal to noise ratio. We are going to combine that signal to noise ratios into one value. How? That will see. So the theory was initiated in 1982, and when we say the gray, that means it is in between pure white, perfect or ideal system, and the system having no information, like black box, occult science. So that is, you can see, a real world situation. The best example of gray systems, our human body. I don't know how it will behave. Okay, है ना? अभी तो कोरोना में भी पता नहीं कि मुझे कोरोना है कि नहीं है, मुझे ही नहीं पता. So I don't know my body how it is behaving. Similarly, agriculture, economy. Abhi up to last month or before that, the gold and silver, they were roaring. Yeah, increase price hike था. अभी पता नहीं क्या हो रहा है. So these are the systems where we don't know all the information. Few information is known, and based on that few information of few known thing, we derive certain outcome. Now, when I say few known thing, that means I am talking about gray system, poor, incomplete, or uncertain. Part of the information is known, part is none. But what part? So even gray has various shades. So are you talking about this gray or this gray? Okay, if you are talking about this gray, that means you know much about the system, and whatever outcome you are going to extract is reasonable. Okay. So in this, you can say, gray theory, we will have, if it is a perfect system, we will have a unique answer. In gray system, we will have multiple answer. That means if there are coefficient in that, I will show you that. The moment you play with the coefficient, you will have multiple answer. Okay, so basically over here, this gray relational system or gray relational analysis is used for solving interrelation among multiple responses. And for that, we are using gray relational grade for analyzing the relation degree of the multiple responses. So how it is done, that we'll see now. So as I told you, we are going to combine Taguchi method with gray method. So there are few steps which are talking about Taguchi method, few steps which are talking about gray method. Just a minute. So the first steps, few steps: identification of process parameter and their level, selection of orthogonal array, then performance of experiments based on orthogonal array, and calculation of signal to noise ratio. They are same as Taguchi method. There is no change. Then only we need to combine the signal to noise ratio. So to combine signal to noise ratio and to get one value, some pre-treatment is required. So the first pre-treatment that is there is normalization. So over here, please remember that signal to noise ratio is represented by capital Y. Okay. So first step is to normalize the signal to noise ratio. Normalization, why it is required? Because we know that each you can say response is behaving uniquely. Even its behavior range will be different. Okay, if I show you here, then the variation for essential oil is around 4% to 12% around, while the eugenol is varying from 4% to around 11%, while zone of inhibition variation is above 16. Okay, so the variation range is different. Even the units that are used for calculation, they are different. So we need to normalize that so that the variation is kept between a desired range. Now this desired range is nothing but 0 to 1. So the normalization is done to avoid the effect of different unit and reduce the variability. So your variation now will be from 0 to 1. The minimum response value will be 0 and the maximum will be 1. So again, for different case, different equations are there. For signal to noise ratio larger the better, your current signal to noise ratio minus minimum signal to noise ratio divided by difference of signal to noise ratio between maximum and the minimum value. This denominator will be same for smaller the better case also. So this is your normalized value for larger the better. Smaller the better, as I told you, denominator will remain the same. In numerator case, now it is maximum signal to noise ratio minus current value. This is what the signal to noise ratio, sorry, normalized value equation is. And for nominal the better, again the deviation will come into the picture. The deviation maximum minus minimum in denominator side, and on the numerator side the equation is somewhat similar to larger the better case. Only difference, we are focusing on the deviation from the target value. So target value will be there. So over here the deviation is more important. Okay, once we are able to find or compute the normalized value, the next step is to calculate or find gray relational coefficient, GRC. Now in GRC, what is the use of Z? That we'll see now. Okay, so what is GRC or GC? It is delta minimum plus lambda delta max divided by delta ij plus lambda. So delta value is the value where we are going to use the normalized value Z, while lambda is the distinguishing coefficient which will be decided by us. So how? That will see. So as I told you, delta is the difference that we are going to find from the normalized value. So always the equation is Z optimum minus Z. Please remember, always the optimum value will be 1, since we are having since we are converting first the information to signal to noise ratio, and from signal to noise ratio we are finding normalized value. Higher signal to noise ratio is always preferred. That means the higher Z value is preferred. Okay, because it will be optimum. So this delta value is nothing but 1 minus Z. Okay. Then as I told you, lambda, it is the distinguishing coefficient. The value can be adjusted on the practical need. So as I have taken the example of this clovered oil, over here I need to decide which response is important for me, oil, eugenol, or its application. So my literature survey and the experience says that if I'm able to get higher amount of oil, then anyway I'm able to sell it. Okay. Uh, Application, I am not still sure. It can be applied in food industries also. Okay, so that antibacterial action can be given less importance, while oil can be given more importance, while the eugenol content can be assigned intermediate value. So when I'm assigning the value to this lambda, I should have some justification, and when I assign the value to the lambda, the total of each should be equal to 1. So if I'm taking for oil, lambda is equal to 0.5, for eugenol it will be 0.3, then for antibacterial action it will be 0.2. So 0.5, 0.3 and 0.2, I will have one value. So for each you can say calculation, I will have GC value. Now someone says that no, my prime objective is or I am going to use for this particular bacteria only, and it is more important to me. So if I change from 0.2 to 0.5, then that means my lambda value is now changed. Oil के लिए I have given suppose now 0.3, 0.2 for eugenol and 0.5 for antibacterial action. Then my GC value is changed. That means for the same set of conditions, I am getting different outcome. I am getting different answers. That is what the meaning of gray theory was, that initially जो यहाँ पे हमने बोला ना, it will give you multiple answers. Okay, once you are able to find this GC, okay, you will find for all the responses. Similarly, this Z you will find for all the responses. Z value for essential oil, Z value for eugenol, Z value for zone of inhibition. Similarly, GC for yield, GC for GC for yield of eugenol, GC for yield of essential oil, GC for zone of inhibition. Once all these three values are known, that is gray relational coefficient, you will find the average. That means what you have done, you have initially three signal to noise responses. By providing gray relational treatment, you were able to find one value only, that is GI. gray relational grid. Once you have GRG or G value, again come down to the Taguchi method. In single response, हमारे पास यहाँ पे signal to noise ratio था. Then we have found level total. Then among the highest level, we selected the signal to noise ratio, and then we perform analysis of variance using that signal to noise ratio. Now the same analysis we are going to perform with the help of GRG. That means only values are getting replaced, terms are getting replaced, notations are getting replaced. Instead of signal to noise ratio, we are using gray relational grid. That is the difference. So analysis of GRG and then analysis of variance. So this is how we are combining Taguchi method and gray relational analysis to find the best optimum condition. So how it was done, let us see. This table is quite known to you. What we have done, we have performed the experiment as per the design. Okay, and then we have all these values recorded. Now signal to noise ratio, I have over here I have shown this calculation. So objective is the maximization of all the responses. Okay, so this is the equation. The first experiment, if you see, the values are there for yield of essential oil 1 by 2 in this equation. The reason is it is performed twice, then these two values are the yield of essential oil. So upon substituting the information in this equation, what I got is signal to noise ratio for the essential oil yield. Similarly, I can find signal to noise ratio for eugenol, signal to noise ratio for zone of inhibition. So up to this, we have followed the method of Taguchi. What we have done, we have identified the factors, identified the responses, we have prepared the L16 array, and accordingly we have set the parameters and their values. We have performed the experiment. We decided that signal to noise ratio for maximization is important, or higher the better or larger the better is important. So we have calculated the signal to noise ratio and prepared a table. Now Taguchi method is not used. Now we are using the gray relational. Why? Since we have free signal to noise ratio, I need one more column where only one response is shown, which combines essential oil, eugenol, and zone of inhibition. Okay, so for that, first step, normalize. After normalizing, find GC. After finding GC, go for GRG. So how it is done, that we'll see. So again, we'll focus on essential oil. Since I would like to find Z value, normalized value, I need minimum and maximum value in this experiment. So if I go through this, then experiment number 11 and 13, they are showing the maximum and minimum value respectively, 21.82 and 14.35. Okay, and these values will be used for computing Z. So as you see, Z equation 21.82 maximum, 14.35 minimum, and 20.83. It is the first experiment. This one. Okay. So if I look at this equation, one thing is sure: when actual value is same as minimum value, my normalized value will become 0. And when actual value is same as the maximum value, my normalized value will become 1. That is the reason why I have told you that when I normalize the information, the variation will be from 0 to 1. Okay. So I have found 0.87 as the normalized value for first experiment for essential oil. Now, if I find delta, delta is required for computing GC, Gray relational coefficient. It is 1 minus 0.87, so 0.13. So it is found. Then comes GC. As I told you, over here, normalized value, if it is 0, then delta will become 1. Similarly, if Z is 1, delta will become 0. That means if you look at this equation, always your delta minimum will be 0, delta max will be 1. So your equation of GC will be this now, where it is lambda divided by delta plus lambda. Since we are talking about essential oil, so we have assigned lambda 1 to it. So I need the value of lambda. So as mentioned over here, based on the importance of the response, the value of distinguishing coefficient that was assigned was 0.6 for essential oil, 0.3 for eugenol, and 0.1 for zone of inhibition. And for the oil, if you see, now the equation is 0.6 over here. Delta we have found 0.13 for first experiment. So if 0.13, sorry, if I substitute over here, what GC value I will get? 0.82. So first normalization, then delta, then GC. In GC we have defined lambda. Based on that, we were able to find the GC value for first experiment. In a similar fashion, we can find for all the experiments, for all the responses. So if you see 0.87 first experiment, 0.13 and 0.82. Okay. Now, if you scroll down, I mean move through or just go through this table, experiment number 11 is showing highest value 1. Experiment number 13 is showing you minimum value, that is 0. Okay. So what does that mean is the transportation or transferring from actual to normalized value is following the true path, because जो minimum है वो minimum रहा, जो maximum है वो maximum रहा. Okay. And that you can check at each stage also when you are transferring or finally evaluating the GC value. GC value, I'm not talking about GRG, it should be reflected. You can see that zone, normalized value 1, GC is 1. Okay, so continuously you will be able to see that that path is getting followed. If you see zone of inhibition, experiment number 9, value is 1, value is 1. Okay, so if by chance, if you have made any mistake, these you can say cross checks are very useful. Okay, so we have found normalized value, we have found delta value, we have found GC for each. Now it is simple GRG. So first experiment, 3 values we have found, 1 for essential oil, 1 for eugenol, and 1 for zone of inhibition. I am taking the average. So 1 by 3 and its summation. So this is my Gray relational grade. So now we have substituted the Gray relational grade. Now I am not required, or I do not need signal to noise ratio. Whatever analysis I need to do, I require only GRG. So let us go for now Taguchi method again. Okay. And what are the things that I need to perform? First, level total to find optimum condition, and then optimization. So if I go for the level total, as you know that for factor A, at level 1, that means first 4 factor and addition of this. Similarly, if you would like to find for factor D at level 2, that means this experiment number 2 and its corresponding GRG, experiment number 8, 11 and 30, and summation of that will give you level total GRG, and this is what we have computed. Okay, over here also there is one cross check that you can, if you are doing in Excel or manually, then what you can do, you can add one more column over here. Okay, and addition of this factor A level 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4, whatever answer you are getting, it should be same for all. That means the addition of this value should be same and it must match with this value. The reason is, when we are finding this level total for factor A, first 4 levels for level, first 4 experiments for level 1, then next 4 for level 2, then 9 to 12 for level 3, so and so forth. So we are not repeating any GRG value for factor A. Similarly, it will be for factor B, C and D. So whatever total you are finding over here, total of all values, all 16 GRG must be same as level 1 plus level 2 plus level 3 plus level 4 GRG. If there is a mismatch, that means somewhere you have committed a mistake. That is a cross check. So we'll select the highest GRG value, sorry, we'll select the highest GRG value over here. So A3 30 gram, B1 200 ml, sorry, B1 200, C2 600 watt power and D4 30 minutes of extraction time. They are the optimum condition as per GRG, gray relational grade analysis plus Taguchi method. And these conditions are different from what we have found in single response analysis that we'll see also. So first task is over. Now let us go to the next task where we need analysis of variance. Over here again, same equation as I told you, instead of signal to noise ratio we will use GRG now. We'll use GRG now. So what was done? Again 0.43 whole square plus 0.39 whole square, so and so forth up to 16, minus summation of all GRG to the power 2 divided by 16. Why 16? Number of experiments are 16. Now if I have not shown over here, but now if I find over here the individual signal to noise ratio, I will use the information of level total over here, that is 1, and NA, the division value, the denominator will be 4 because my factor is repeated 4 times. Sorry, my level is being repeated 4 times. Okay. Now the degree of freedom, total degree of freedom, since number of experiments are 16, 16 minus 1. Individual degree of freedom, number of level minus 1, levels are 4, so 4 minus 1, that is. Now one more calculation is left, that is for error. Sum of square or variation due to error and degree of freedom in error. So as we know that the summation of this and the total, the difference between these two, that means 0.404 minus 0.052, 0.082, 0.096, 0.148 will give me the error. Similarly, total degree of freedom 15 minus 3 of each factors will give me degree of freedom for error, that is equal to 3. Once I have this, I can find the variance. The equation is already here. Once, and over here, yes, one good thing is that error has some value. In previous example, we have seen that there is no error, so we have to pull the error. After pulling the error only, we were able to perform the F test. Over here, it is not required. The reason already variance is there. Okay, so we were able to find the F value. Once F value was calculated, you can see that extraction time has higher F value, 5.76. And when it was found in terms of percentage, it is 36 percentage. Okay, so this is how I can find or perform the analysis of variance and find which factor has higher impact and which has the lowest, that is 12.98. That means अगर मेरा सॉलिड लोडिंग 30 ग्राम की जगह पे 25 ग्राम भी हो गया, देयर इज नो प्रॉब्लम. 35 ग्राम हो गया, नो प्रॉब्लम. एक्सट्रैक्शन टाइम अगर थोड़ा भी प्लस माइनस होगा, आई विल हैव मेजर इम्पैक्ट ऑन द yield or the overall response. Okay. One more thing, just I would like to highlight before proceeding further. Over here, we are talking about error. Okay. So there is one good thing about Taguchi method, that before conducting the analysis, we were able to find the whether the error will appear or not. Okay, so if I show you just that, then proceed further, it will be more useful. Okay, is the white body is visible? Please, anyone respond?
Yes, sir. Yes,
Okay,
sir, it is.
okay. So just I will give you the example. One example we have shown was we 3 to the power 4 design where L9 array was used. Okay, so we had 4 factors and 3 levels. Okay, so I use this design for 4 factors and 3 levels. Then total degree of freedom, as you know, 9 minus 1, because it is L9 array, 9 minus 1, 8 degree of freedom. And if I find individual degree of freedom, since it says that I am going to use 3 level, 3 minus 1, so 2. Okay, so for 4 factors, I have 4 into 2, that means 8 degree of freedom. That means 8 degree of freedom thanks to factors and 8 degree of freedom thanks to total number of experiments. Now, it is seen that, sorry, same L9 array is useful for 3 to the power 3 design also. That means 3 levels and 3 factors. Now, if I find total degree of freedom, it is again n9 minus 1, 8. If I find individual degree of freedom, 3 minus 1, 2. I have 4 factors. No, sorry. I have 3 factors. So 6 degree of freedom. So if you compare these two, 8 and 6, there is a difference of 2. That means now when you perform the experiment, you will have error in your system. Now this error is not because of the experiment. It is inherently present in the system because of the noise or because of some unwanted factors that we don't know. But it is there. Some error is there. And it is always required that it should be less. So this difference gives me an idea that when I perform this sum of square and find the sum of square for error, it must have some value and it has to be positive. You won't find any negative value. Okay, so before conducting the experiment, you will have an idea whether in your system the error will be there or not. Similarly, 4 to the power 5 design, where 5 levels, sorry, 4 levels and 5 factors are there. In this case, you will have L16 array. Okay, so total degree of freedom 16 minus 1, that is 15. If I find individual degree of freedom, 4 levels minus 1, so 3. We have 5 factors. That means I have 15 degree of freedom. So if you compare total degree of freedom and summation of individual degree of freedom, say, so error is 0. So you have to pool the error. Select one factor which is there in your system which can be considered as an error. That factor will be having minimum sum of square. Similarly, instead of 5 factors, if I am having 4 factors, again I will have L16 array. So my total degree of freedom will be 15. But since my number of factors are reduced to 4, so 4 factors and its summation is 12. So 15 minus 12, 3 degree of freedom will be there for error. And that is what I have shown here also, that we will have degree of freedom for error. Now the slides are visible?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it is
So,
visible.
yeah, so the degree of freedom is there. So before conducting the experiment also, I will have an idea that whether the error will be there or not, error will prevail or not. Okay, so this is my analysis of variance.
Sir,
Now, yes, please.
आपने अभी कहा कि अगर डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम इंडिविजुअल और टोटल अगर मैच हो रहे हैं, मतलब दोनों में
हाँ
15,
हाँ
तो एरर की जगह क्या लेना है हमें? किसी एक फैक्टर को एज एन एरर कंसीडर करना है जिसमें डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम यानी जिसका सम ऑफ स्क्वायर कम से कम हो, उसे एज
हाँ
एन एरर कंसीडर
ये
करना है।
सबसे कम, दैट इज कॉल्ड पुलिंग द एरर, जो हमने प्रीवियस एग्जांपल में देखा ना,
हाँ
लैक्टोज रिकवरी में हमने देखा, वी हैव यूज्ड 3 to the power 4 डिजाइन L9 एरे, है ना. सो इन
हाँ
दैट डिग्री ऑफ फ्रीडम फॉर एरर वाज 0, तो हमने क्या किया, फैक्टर ए which was having lowest signal to noise ratio was considered as an error. तो वो हमें करना है.
ओके
Okay, so now if I compare this single response and multiple response, conditions are different but acceptable. The reason, my solid loading has improved, that means my production capacity has improved, water volume is minimal, power is more compared to zone of inhibition but less compared to single response, time is 30 minutes, no problem. If you look at the outcome, 13.11 is the yield, which is lower than these two, but it is not that much low, within, or you can say within 10 percentage, not more than that. Okay, but what is the advantage? Over here you were treating only 10 gram, over here you were able to treat 30 gram. So though you are not getting the maximum or the highest yield compared to single response, then also it is acceptable. Similarly, if you look at the yield of eugenol 11.93, in case of 2, that is eugenol case 12.82, it is less than this, but still it is acceptable because your rate of production is more, and the variation or the decrement that you got is less than 10%. Similarly, zone of inhibition, it was 25.90 when you go for multi-response, but when you go for single response, when you go for multi-response, it is 24.8. Okay, तो कोई पूछ सकता है कि यहाँ पे ज्यादा है, but what is the problem? Your yield is quite low. Okay, so when you perform multi-response analysis, it is giving you reasonable outcome, though not maximum, but you were able to explore, or you can say you were able to have more robust condition, more production capacity, less water consumption compared to individual response. So optimum condition, though you can say a bit compromise. Why compromise? You have used only 16 experiments and try to optimize 3 you can say condition at a time. So some compromise will be there, but still that compromise is acceptable. Okay, So this is the optimum conditions and their comparison. Okay, so these are the major references that I have used for this study, and this one, the first one, is the article from where I have taken the data. All the results are reported in this article. Okay. Now let me show you how this thing can be achieved with the Excel sheet. Over here, I will show you just the equations and how they are being implemented. Okay, so you can try by yourself also. And interestingly, if the template is ready for you, suppose the solution that we are getting is for say L9 array, then next time when you would like to apply the Taguchi method with L9 array, what you need to do is replace the outcome, the responses that you have measured, and you will have the analysis ready with you. Okay. So first I will talk about single response analysis. So over here, the case study that was taken is regarding the surface treatment, okay, of that of some alloy, where three responses: thickness of that particular system, the surface roughness and transmittance are measured, and the responses that are required. In case of thickness, it was smaller is better. In surface roughness, smaller is better, and transmittance, higher is better. Okay, so this is how the responses have been decided. So I will show each one. Okay, how the treatment is done with the Excel. So as we know the equation for surface roughness, since smaller the better requirement is there, then minus 10 log 10, again that equation is there in readily available in Excel, multiply with 0.5. The reason we are repeating each experiment two times, this one. Okay, we are repeating equation twice. Okay, and then it's square. Okay, if it is transmittance, that means this one. If it is transmittance, then you can see that same equation. I have not changed. What I have done is instead of negative sign, I have kept positive sign. Basically, in transmittance, since it is of maximization, it should be minus 10, same term in this 1 divided by j3 to the power 2 plus 1 divided by k3 to the power 2. It should be there, but by removing the negative sign, I was able to utilize the same equation. Okay, that you can verify also. Okay. So this is what you are getting, the signal to noise ratio. By simple click, you will get the signal to noise ratio. Now you can see that the value is more than 1. Since negative sign is here in the minimization problem, all the values are negative. That means what it's saying, this means that higher values are not desirable. So if you are getting lesser value in signal to noise ratio, that means over here minus 14.08, that is the lesser value. So lesser value in negative is basically acceptable or is higher. Just suppose the minus 1 is greater than minus 2. So when we have done this, minus 14 is very good, while minus 26.75 is not good, or it is a lesser value. So signal to noise ratio having lesser negative value is good. So we have found signal to noise ratio like this with this equation, and summation is mentioned. This will be useful, as I told you earlier also. This will be useful. Okay. So I have signal to noise ratio. Next step is to find level total value. So as you know, for factor A at level 1, so sum of all these three values, 45.51, 43.38 and 41.929. So that function of sum was used for factor A level 1, as you can see at the left bottom. That was used to find this. So for thickness, factor A level 1 was computed like this. Similarly, if I am focusing on factor C, again for thickness, factor C at level 3, then you can see it is addition of M5, M7 and M9. That you can read over here also. I have shown two arrows and circled 1 minus 41.29, that is M5, minus 42.28 and minus 46.75. So addition will give me level total. Similarly, for all the factors I can do, and the last row that you are seeing, total minus 403.12, that was this is I was talking about, that you can cross check if 403.12 it is for all, and over here also it is there, that means I have not committed any mistake. All the summations that I have done are correct. Now I need to select the best condition. So over here, though my optimum answer for thickness is focusing on smaller is better case, I need to select the highest value only. Please remember that we have taken care of that information of smaller is better in the equation. Higher the better mein it was 1 divided by y square. Smaller the better mein it was y square. So that requirement of objective, smaller the better, higher the better, or you can say target is that we have taken care of while treating with the signal to noise ratio. Now when I am focusing on level total signal to noise ratio and finding the optimum condition, I need to select the highest value. कई बार मैंने देखा है स्मॉलर इज बेटर है तो भाई इसमें स्मॉलर वैल्यू होना चाहिए, दैट इज माइनस 141, नहीं, यहाँ पे भी हाईएस्ट वैल्यू ही लेना है. प्लीज रिमेंबर दैट. सो यू गॉट A1, B3, C3 and D1 as the optimum. Okay. Similarly, you can find for surface roughness, you can find for transmittance. Once it is done, your first task is over, that is to find optimum condition. And if you are doing the thing in Excel, this will be your layout. And don't you can say mess it up. आप पहले आइडिया लगाइए कि आपको क्या क्या कैलकुलेशन करनी है, कौन कौन सी इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए, and based on that you calculate. So you see, I have calculated all this is the information I have. From that I have calculated signal to noise ratio. After that, level total I have computed. So it is, you can say, a treat to watch. Rather than finding the details, you can easily get the information by simply clicking the Excel. Now the next step, that is to find which factor has the maximum impact, that is analysis of variance. So these are the equations we have. So again, in these two equations, if you see the second term, summation of s by n to the power 2 is common, and we already have done this task. We already have done this task. Summation already we have, it's a square divided by 9. So second term is calculated. For first term, square of this, so it can be calculated. Okay. So square of each signal to noise ratio is reported here. Correction factor is also reported. Once we have this value, summation, this value, summation is also there, we can find the or go for analysis of variance. So this is the layout. Signal to noise ratio, this value, its square, its total. Correction factor was found here. Now I will make one table where sum of square, degree of freedom, variance, everything is required. Now I know the equation. I have found total of signal to noise ratio square. I have found correction factor. The difference between these two will easily give me total sum of square or variation. Okay, so it is simple, a difference between these two values. Then comes the individual variation. So square of each value divided by 3. Why 3? Because each level was appearing 3 times minus correction. So this is how we can find the value, and these are reported over here. And you can see that this is also the case where a degree of freedom issue for error will be there. Okay, so all the sum of square values are computed, and error, it is nothing but the difference between total minus individual. So you can find that error is 0. Error is 0. That is the problem. Okay, so इसके लिए हमें पूलिंग करना पड़ेगा. Variance was found. It is the ratio between these 24 by 2. So variance was found, and you can see that now we have pulled the error. 0.04 that was there is now transferred over here to transferred over here to transferred over here. So we can find now FL value. So F value for each factor was found. So this pooling is there when your actual error is not there. Okay, as that I have explained earlier, that before performing the experiment, you will have an idea whether the error will appear or not, or you have to go for pooled error or not. Then the contribution, so factor A divided by total value, you can find the contribution. And you can see that 61% impact is due to factor A for thickness. Similarly, you can go for the surface roughness, same formula, same way, and you can check that in case of surface roughness, it is factor C which is having highest impact, while in case of transmittance, again it is factor A which is having highest impact. So when you go for complete all the tasks, this will be the layout that you will have for each response: thickness, surface roughness, transmitter. So this is the last table that I'm showing you. This one is for ANOVA. Above that, you will see that the values highlighted in green, these are optimum condition. So this is level total table, and the first section is for your orthogonal array and signal to noise ratio calculation. Now we will have some deviation in multiple response. Okay, again this requirement of signal to noise ratio is there. So we will calculate signal to noise ratio as I have shown earlier. Now there is a problem. Signal to noise ratio is done. Now Z value कौन सा लेना है, इक्वेशन कौन सा लेंगे? Can anyone tell?
First.
Okay. Why I am asking the question? Why I am asking the question? The reason is the problem that I have shown earlier, that is the extraction case. All the responses we have maximized. Over here, 2 responses maximization, 1 response minimization. Two response is minimization, one response maximization. So accordingly, we found signal to noise ratio. Now we are going for gray relational. So normalization is required. So in normalization, uh, should I use this equation for smaller the better case? That is my query.
Yes.
Okay. So over here, please remember there is a trap. If you are calculating signal to noise ratio first and then finding normalization, you will find few articles where in both the cases signal to noise ratio, minimization, normalization, minimization, you will find such articles accepted in literature also that they have done. But if you think logically, when you have found signal to noise ratio for minimization, you have changed the equation from 1 by y to y. So whatever your requirement was there at the initial level, you have satisfied that. Now again, you go for that consideration that you have to minimize that particular problem. And if you use this equation, then what will happen? Two times you are using smaller the better case. So वहां पे गड़बड़ी हो सकती है. Okay, this is one way. Second way of explanation, when your response from thickness is changed to signal to noise ratio. When it was thickness, it was minimization. But when it was signal to noise ratio, it has become maximization. The reason, signal to noise ratio, you would always require higher signal, less noise. So the moment you transfer your information from thickness to signal to noise ratio, it has become maximization. So don't use this. Use signal to noise ratio for larger the better case. हाँ, अगर आप normalization पहले कर रहे हो, then you need to use different equation. Please remember that. This is a trap. You can find various articles where they have found signal to noise ratio with minimum equation, then finding Z value with minimum equation. It is there. Okay, but what my experience, what my reading says that when you are finding thickness and transferring the information to signal to noise ratio, your objective is clear that you would like to minimize. Now, when you have found signal to noise ratio, you are finding the level total for maximization, maximum value. Same treatment is required over here. That means when signal to noise ratio has come, you should use larger the better case. Please remember this. So, signal to noise ratio, you can select from this by maximum minimum function. So you will have maximum and minimum value for all the responses, that is thickness, surface roughness, and the transmittance. All the values you have. Then the equation Z actual value minus minimum value divided by the difference between maximum and the minimum value. So once I have written the equation, I will scroll down just to get all the information. So all the normalized values are here. 1 0 0 1. So at least one time you should have 0 and 1 in your value. Please remember that. Now जो मैंने अभी आपको idea दिया that you should use this maximum value. Okay, just one more reason to show you that is, if you go through this, 42.28 is the 41.29 is the highest value, na? You should have 1 over here. Otherwise, what will happen if you use the minimum वाला case, यहाँ पे 0 आएगा और यहाँ पे 1 आएगा. That means जिसका वैल्यू हाई था वो कम हो जाएगा, कम था वो ज्यादा हो जाएगा. So be careful over there. So you have found Z value. Once Z is there, you need to focus on this equation where you need delta. Delta, we know that 1 minus Z value, so it can be easily computed. Again, we need delta max, delta mean from this, and it is seen that max is 1, mean is 0. Now lambda value for each one was given, thickness 0.5, roughness 0.35, transmittance 0.15. So I need to substitute over here in the equation. So 0.5 for this GC, 0.5 divided by this value plus 0.5. So I will simply scroll down. So for all the values, or you can say all the responses, I will be able to find GC. For each one, it was shown 0.5, that is for thickness, 0.35, that is for surface roughness, 0.15, that is for transmittance. Okay, so I have GC for all the case. Once I have GC, I need to have the average value of these three. So you can use the function average and include these three, or you can go for summation of these three value divided by 3. Either way, you will get the average value, that is this. So this task was required, as I have told you initially, to combine all signal to noise ratio into one value, that is GRG. Once GRG is there, then task is very easy. This is the layout, what we have done. Z value, delta value, and GC value we have directly found. Once we have GRG, again we will go for level total. So now the task is quite similar what we have done initially. So C1 का ये information that will be used for addition here. Okay, 1, 1, and 1. So these are added, C1. Similarly, I can find for all the factors at different levels. So this is the optimum condition. Highest value A2, B2, C3, and D1. And this will give me the desired optimum condition. So once this is done, I will go for ANOVA. Again, as I have shown earlier, I need correction factor CF. It is nothing but summation of all its square by 9. 9 number of experiment. While SST, it is the square of each value, its summation, that is 2.26 minus correction factor. So it was found. Individual, it is square of this value, level total divided by 3 minus A. Okay. Once it is done, degree of freedom, we know variance we can find by these two ratio, SS by degree of freedom. Once again over here, the issue of error is that degree of freedom for error is 0. So I need pooling. So that is also done. So variance was found, polling is done. After polling, I can perform F test and go for percentage contribution. Okay, so this is how the treatment can be done for you can say gray relational grade. So these are the values of F test. These you can see. These are percentage contribution that you can see. So if you have prepared these functions and the equation in single response, simply you can transfer over here and replace the value. So this is how your layout will look like. A level total, these are ANOVA table, and
Sir,
yes,
यहाँ पे पोल्ड एरर हमने 0.161 सम ऑफ स्क्वायर वाला क्यों लिया? सी
Okay. Just a minute. Huh?
It should be minimum on a
Yeah, it should
leave.
be minimum. It should be 0.003.
Okay.
So that is a mistake. Yeah. अगर आप देखोगे 0.16, yeah, there is a mistake. It should be 0.003. There is a mistake. It should be 0.003. Yes, correct.
Okay.
So once this desirable layout is made, I mean, so once the experiment, I mean, the treatment is done, this is what your layout will be. So you can extract the information. Okay. So I will, sorry, and the session. If you have any doubt, please let me know. Please remember, at this moment, you may find these things bit easier, or you can say ये तो 2 मिनट में हो जाएगा. But please have a revision. Go through this system at a regular interval. Otherwise, it is like organic chemistry. रात को पढ़ी, सुबह को खफा. ठीक है? So please have a revision over here, because at this stage also I am still learning. And as you have seen, I have just yet committed a mistake. Okay, so at any moment this can happen. So please have a revision, go through this if you are interested in optimization of process parameter, or if it is a part of your research work, or if you are doing PhD. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Even if someone have any question, they can unmute and they can ask. Anyone, because I think so this is actually a very good learning and good chance to, because the same thing can be applied in every field, whether it is pharmacy, engineering, or whatever it is. You can even apply at your home to cook
Yes.
food, to optimize, because hotel persons used to do that. They don't want change in the taste like McD. Every time you go, you get the same taste. So they have optimized everything very pinpoint.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can see the beauty, if I'm not wrong, sir, it is comparing the variation, right, and not the mean.
It is comparing the variation, yes,
Variation,
not the
yeah.
mean. Yeah.
That is a bit different with placket Burman design, where the means are compared.
Yeah, even in placket Burman, it is bit more complex, where even we are not able to identify how many interaction effect are getting confounded.
Yes.
In case of Taguchi or in case of the RSM, you can easily identify, but placket Burman, it is bit complex, and even it gives you any idea about what parameters are important and what are not. It does not talk about optimization. So it is great for screening purpose, placket Burman.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's good one. And even it's the array is also quite different. The array generation is also quite different and interesting, placket Burman.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Well, thank you so much, sir. Now I hand
Thank
over
you.
this to Dr. Bhavin. Yes, sir. Bhavin, sir, are you there? No more any question? Well, I think so there should be a lot of question, because you're coming from different fields, especially the pharmacy people. Come on. Or it was so clear by sir.
No, either way, either everything is absorbed or everything is reflected.
No, sir.
Furkan sir, my screen is visible?
No, sir. Your screen is
No.
not visible, sir.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, let me stop my presentation. Yeah, I stop my presentation. So
Now it is visible, Furkan sir?
Yes, sir. It is coming. Just hold on.
yeah,
Arvind sir is presenting, but we can't see here.
no, it is visible.
Furkan sir, your net is somewhat slow. Fine. Meghal sir, on behalf of organizing committee, I am presenting you the e-certificate. Please accept it. And thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you very much for your precious time and sharing your knowledge with us. Hopefully,
Thank
we'll
you.
be meeting regularly, either physically or online mode.
Yes, yes.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Anytime. Yeah, I will be more than happy. Yeah, sure, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Furkan. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay.
और करें करा कि बची नहीं.
So now I am leaving the meeting. Okay, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So to all the participants,
Hello.
today we finished earlier. Tomorrow we'll start at 10. Same schedule, 2 lectures in morning and 1 lecture after lunch. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. You can leave the meeting. Thank you.